Agyei Tyehimba from Harlem Liberation School, where we teach black people to wake up, clean up, and stand up. Gonna wait a minute, pause for the cause while a few more people join. I'm gonna take some water, wet my whistle. One of the things, well, first, let me start with this. A few quick announcements. First of all, I gotta shout out the most honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey, whose birthday it is today, August 17th. A remarkable man, one of the godfathers of Pan Africanism, the person who is responsible, I would say, for sparking the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, who sparked Malcolm X's parents, who sparked him. A lot of powerful people were influenced heavily and directly by the great Marcus Mosiah Garvey. So we want to show him thanks and praise. If you can study more on Garvey, we're going to have a video that might come out hopefully by the end of the day that talks about 5 reasons that Marcus Garvey was incredibly important for black people and black liberation. Second thing, family, look what I got here. The book, my latest book. And I wanted to be clear, this book is a handbook. That means it addresses a number of the core principles of self-empowerment. It is not an exhaustive. Any one of these chapters can be an entire book. So there's people that have written whole books just on discipline or entire books just on time management. This is a handbook, so it addresses a number of things in a quick way. Ukusu, a self-empowerment handbook by yours truly. I suggest you cop that, family. Go to Amazon, type my name up, and it'll come right up. It's I actually kept it at $13.99. Tomorrow is going to be $19.99. Now that we got that out the way, I want to talk about something very important. This is particularly important for younger people. I'm going to start doing a series of videos that specifically target our 20-somethings and up. I guess you would call them the millennials, because they are a very important generation. The millennials are the ones who, through their efforts and their own work and study, and through the raising of children, are going to really be the ones who create a future for our race. So it's very important that we connect with millennials, we guide them, we answer their questions, we be patient with them, we do not prejudge them or belittle or demean them. Just like our generation, when I was 20, there was so much I thought I knew. Oh, man. And fortunately for me, I had elders who were patient with me. They weren't rough or demeaning. They taught me. They were firm, but they taught me, and they taught me from love. And that's important that now, and if you're in your middle ages, I'm 56. If you're like in your 50s and 60s and up, you essentially are an elder at this point. And part of the responsibility of being an elder is to guide the youth, man, not to think the worst of them. What you see sometimes portrayed in the media makes it seem like all our youth are crazy and out of their minds. And some of them, unfortunately, are. But that doesn't represent all of them. And even those who are a little rough around the edges could be different with some intervention from elders like us. I want to talk about something that I think young people don't seem to get. In this culture where you got microwaves and everything's fast, everything's wireless, you can turn on a call without turning a key. I mean, everything's different. Everything's fast. Everything is kind of cultivated around this idea of let's do things quickly. And in this type of culture, we miss something. Mastery, craftsmanship, fine work, great achievement takes time. You can't rush that. It takes time. One of the things that young people have is great energy and enthusiasm that comes with youth. But one of the challenges that most youth have, because they just have so much enthusiasm and energy They're young, so they're not thinking about their mortality. They heal quickly, so they're not thinking about getting hurt or about setbacks. One of the things young people tend to do is be hasty and impulsive. They make quick decisions. They don't think things through. They don't typically do a lot of research. They just move quickly. And in moving quickly, they're missing something. Great things take time. I'm 56. Some people have said, from either reading my books or hearing my public presentations, or sometimes I have been hired to help, let's say, students to protest on their college campuses or whatever, and it's been successful. They say, "Oh man, you speak so well, you do this," and I had to tell them, "Listen, you're looking at a guy that's 56 years old, but when I was 13 and read Malcolm X Speaks, that and my father's constant tutelage got me on the road to learning, got me on the road to Black liberation. And from that day on, I've been reading and learning. I started public speaking professionally when I was a junior in college, because our Black Student Union, of which I was the president, was very successful in our protesting and our challenging the university at Syracuse. So we created a lot of positive change. We made Syracuse University cough up a whole lot of money to recruit more Black students, to hire more Black professors, to rebuild our African American Studies department. I mean, so when students around the country saw that or heard about that, they would call me and ask me to speak. So that's when I started speaking. And I never forget, I was in a church, a Black church, for Black History Month event. They asked me to speak. I was tight with the Reverend. Shout out to Reverend Larry Howard. And he asked would I come do a presentation for Black History Month, because what I'm always leading these protests and rallies on campus and doing press conferences, so I was speaking a lot, right? So I say, sure, people would invite me to speak, I go out and speak. And after I spoke, I'll never forget, I wasn't feeling well. I was feeling a little sick. So I'm kind of trying to get out the church, trying to see the Reverend, shake hands, and get out so I can take care of, whatever was ailing me. And his elderly sister, looked like she was in her 70s at least, had a church hat and was sitting down. She said, "Excuse me, young fella, can I speak to you?" I said, "Yes, ma'am." So I went over to her. She stayed seated. She says, "That was a wonderful speech you gave on Black history. I have never been prouder to be a Black woman in my entire life." I said, "Wow." I was really humbled, but I said, "Thank you. Wow." She says, "How much did the Reverend pay you for this beautiful presentation?" I said, "Oh no, ma'am, I spoke for free. I don't speak for money." She looked at me. She said, she dug in her pocketbook. She took out a $50 bill. I will never forget. And she said, "God gave you a gift, young man." I felt it from where I heard a lot of people speak. When you spoke, it touched me. She said, "God gave you that gift so that you can take care of yourself and one day take care of your family." She said, "Please accept this $50. I said, "No, ma'am. I was raised like, you don't accept money from an elder. That's kind of disrespectful. She might need it more than I do." So I said, "No," I was trying to be respectful. I said, "No, ma'am, thank you. I couldn't do that. My mother would kill me if she saw me accepting this money from you." Right? I was like 20, 19, 20 and still in college. She says, "Son, you will insult me if you don't." Right? I said, "Okay, I accepted the money." She said, "You should be a professional speaker, son. You have a gift." So from that point on, I put the lecture package together, did all this, and I started speaking all over New York State, because I went to school upstate New York in Syracuse. But when people hear me now speaking it extemporaneously, impromptu, with no script, and they say, "Hey man, you're pretty good," I have to tell them, well, number one, that's one of my gifts. But number two, I've been doing this for a long time. So I don't tend to get nervous. I don't get scared. I don't get riled up by trolls, hecklers. I've been doing this for a long time. And that's what I was put here to do, to be a messenger, not in a messianic way, in a political and cultural way, to share a message of hope and inspiration, a message of We can do anything we choose to do if we organize ourselves, study, and prepare properly, and work together. Or you see somebody, for instance, that's played chess. You say, wow, this person can think 30 moves ahead. How is that possible? You're so good. Well, that person, if they're a grandmaster, like Bobby Fischer was, he's playing 20 people at one time, going from chessboard to chessboard, remembering all the moves, incredible. Well, that's a gift, but it was also that man played and played and played for years and would do chess puzzles, would read chess books. And when you see someone who's highly successful, Jay-Z, say, wow, his proclivity with words, his cleverness, his the way he puts these metaphors together, it's incredible. The double meanings, double entendres. Okay, listen, if you watch the documentary on him, he has his sixth grade English teacher, a white woman, who's talking about how gifted he was with words way back in sixth grade, right? And then you talk to the cousin, shows up on the documentary and says how he had different types of dictionaries. He had a etymological dictionary, which is a dictionary that doesn't just give you the meaning of a word, but tells you where that word comes from. So it may say this word has a Greek origin, or this word has a Latin origin, and this is what it originally meant. The point, in other words, or you hear his mother in the documentary saying how he used to write these rhymes, and he would be writing rhymes all the time. This man is in like grade school, right? So the Jay-Z you see now is a product of one, he had a gift, but also he worked on that gift. He deepened his skill set. He learned more because the sixth grade teacher, talks about how he would learn. His vocabulary was good to be so young. His cousin talks about these different dictionaries. His mother talks about him writing rhymes all the time. So yeah, now he can go in the booth. He can hear a record. He can vibe to it. And he can start spitting lyrics out, and he can keep it all in his head. But he didn't start that way. He started that way like most of us. I was a Harlem MC. You write on paper. My point is, the Jay-Z you see now is who he is from decades of work. Decades of work. I believe he came to public attention in the mid 90s, you know? So do understand that. And I believe that God, the Almighty, the Most High, teaches a lot of the greatest lessons through nature. So if you just look at you watching, how long did it take to make you? Were you made in a week? Did you come about in a month? No, it took several months, right? Several months, ideally about 9 months, to produce you. So that nature, that's telling you something. When you plant a seed, and some type of vegetable or fruit, as a farmer, you plant the seed, it may take months. It does take months for the fruit, the vegetable, the harvest to come into play. Months before they're doing all this work. They're planting seeds, they're plowing the ground and doing all this stuff. They're planting the seeds, they're watering, the sun is doing his job, but it takes a while before you see evidence of that work. So for our young people in particular, and some of us older folk need a reminder. Don't be so hasty. Don't be always so quick to do something real quick. Don't be so impulsive. Take your time. Be patient. Be patient with yourself. Be patient with others. This is a leadership principle. Learn to be discerning. Learn to take your time and do things properly. Because if you rush, a lot of times you create more of a mess. This is why the old folks used to say, measure twice, cut once. Measuring, prepare. Be exacting, be methodical on the front end. And then when you make your decision or you move in a certain way, chances are your move will be a productive one, a successful one. But when you move quickly, it tends not to work out too well. Now, of course, there are times when you have an emergency and you must move quickly. We're not talking about those times. We're talking about when you're trying to figure out, make major decisions. Or you're trying to put your life in focus, what you want to do with your life. Or you're trying to decide, should I stick with this job or this person or whatever, right? Things that are great, beautiful, and lasting take time. They're not going to come about quickly. And that's the way it's supposed to be. Because in that time, what is happening? Developing your skill set, broadening your knowledge base. You might be becoming more spiritually grounded. I hear some people here that's putting up some spiritual comments. So yeah, spirituality is very important. I'm not going to get into religion, but the spirituality. The idea that you are important, but you're not all important. You're like a speck of sand. If the universe is a beach, you're like a speck of sand, right? In other words, you're important to you and your family, and certainly to the Most High. But there's other people out here just as important as you, and you're not more or less important than them, nor they you. This idea that you're connected to something bigger than you, that beautiful, all-knowing, all-powerful thing exists in every one of us, that we are to some degree reflections of the Most High, right? But if you notice, even in the different ideas of how God created the world, maybe 7 days or whatever, scientists say this took millions and billions of years to happen. Sacred scriptures may say it's a week. The point is, it took time. Great, important, and lasting things take time. If you ever look, I was a classroom teacher for many years. Do you know how much time it took to prepare for one class? Now, mind you, I might have 5 classes in one day, different students, right, in different classes, but there was the same lesson. It took time. I had to figure out what I'm teaching, how I'm teaching it. I had to differentiate the lesson. So for students who had challenges reading or behavioral challenges, I had to come up with differentiated lessons for them so they wouldn't be left behind or left out. I had to figure out what modality am I going to use. Am I going to use a political cartoon? Because I was a social studies teacher in history. Am I going to use an excerpt of a song, a poem? How am I going to affect? How am I going to reach people? That took time. Then I may have had to do research, right? That took time, but when I did it right, the lesson went smoothly. There was less misbehavior. More students retained the information. Great things take time. You and I took about 9 months, unless you were born premature, and even then you took several months. Legislation takes time, right? You got to write the legislation, revise your legislation. You have to have focus groups to give you advice on how to revise that legislation. You have to try to get the legislation passed from it being a bill to it becoming a law. Takes time. So in this microwave society where everything's supposed to be done quick, and that's supposed to be a good thing, understand sometimes not so good things come with quickness, like microwave ovens. You wonder, are those things possibly dangerous? They're real quick, get our food heated up quick. But that microwave, could that be causing damage? The oven takes a lot longer, but that food stays hot much longer. You ever put something in an oven versus in a microwave and see how much longer that food item stays hot? In the oven, it stays hot for a long time because that heat is building up over time. In the microwave, the heat is really quick. So I just want to encourage, particularly our young people, our millennials, don't worry when you see, man, this is taking a long time to save this money. Man, it's taking me a while to get this education. Wow, it's taking me a long time to get certified in this discipline. Man, it's taking me a long time to build my network, to grow my YouTube channel, to build out my social media empire, to write this paper. Yeah. And to start this business. Yeah, it's supposed to. Because over that time, you're going to learn so much. You're going to meet people. You're going to grow. You're also going to see if you're made for this. So you rush into things, you may rush into things you're not ready for. But if you take your time, over time, you're going to see, wow, this requires a level of commitment, or it requires a certain skill set or certain personality traits that I don't have. And you realize something that you thought you wanted, you don't want. Why? Because you took your time, you went through the steps, right? And also remember, young people, millennials, that when you see people who seem to be successful, at least in a material way, remember, you're seeing the outcome, but you're not seeing, if you're looking at a hip hop artist, are all those hours they spend in the studio writing their lyrics, practicing their lyrics, memorizing their lyrics, shooting videos, doing promotional tours, benefits is where they don't even get paid at first, video shoots, photo shoots. Family, it takes time for them to get to the place they want to get to. Boxers, you see Terrence Crawford and all these people now, but it took them a while. Terrence Crawford said he was fighting since he was 6 years old. So what I'm trying to get you to see is the best and brightest that you see in these different industries, they've been at it for a while. And that's okay. That's the natural way it should be. And it's that way for a reason. When you try to take shortcuts and skip important levels, what tends to happen is you miss out on important lessons that come back and bite you in the end. One of the things with young people is they want to get stuff so quick, they want to make this move so quick. No, I would always caution. I remember with my own my two biological daughters, I would tell them they would be excited about someone, and I said, wait, are you sure you're ready for that? What do you mean? Yeah, I'm right. Now, are you sure? Do you know what it takes? Do you know what level of commitment that takes, what you're trying to do? Did you give that thought? Did you research what that's going to take from you? And are you prepared to do that for 10 years, 5 years, or what have you? You see, that's the type of thinking we want to encourage in our young people. Think through things. Think through things. Ask yourself the critical questions, and ask yourself those questions now so you don't find yourself on the back end answering some really ugly questions. How did I get here? Why did I blow all that money? I don't have nothing to show for it. Yeah, you get there because usually you didn't take your time and you weren't as methodical and conscientious as you should be. You're trying to rush into something. I'm not understanding that everything I'm looking at in nature, I'm looking at trees right now. I'm looking at this magnificent tree with a huge trunk. And that magnificent tree I'm looking at with that huge trunk did not get here in a week. They say that you can tell how old a tree is by the rings. When you cut the trunk, you count the rings in the tree. I can't cut the tree down, but I would imagine that has to be 75 to 100 rings in that huge tree I'm looking at. It took time for that tree to get here and to be as magnificent as it is right now. It takes time for fruit and vegetables to grow and be ripe. And guess what? Young people, let's say if your average lifespan is 75 years of a human being in the United States, give or take, that's broken up into 3 quarters, right? The first 25 years of your life, if you live to be the average of 75, that first 25 years, that first quarter, learn yourself, get to know who you are, what you like, what you don't like, what turns you on, what turns you off. Learn what your life purpose is, what you're on this planet to do, what service you are to render to the world, what skill sets, talents, and gifts you have, what preferences you have. Your first 25 years, that's largely what you're doing, getting to know who you are. That means you got to have different experiences. I'm not saying to do anything unsafe, by the way. Different experiences, meeting different people, being in different situations, and investing in yourself. It's very important that you invest in yourself. I often, in my book I wrote, Too Far Youth, which is a self-empowerment book for teens, unlike this book, which I just put out last week, which is a self-empowerment book for adults, there's a chapter called invest in yourself. And to give an analogy, I tell people, young people, imagine that you're at a restaurant, a huge round table, you and let's say 15 of your best friends. And the waiter comes, and the waiter's giving out menus. So you notice some of your friends are opening up their menus, and they're whoa, and it's like 10 pages of menu. And they're, whoa, and they get excited, and they're showing people what they got, and they're ordering. Gets to another friend, and they're whoa, and they're looking at all the things, they're getting excited about all of the menu options, the different types of food and desserts and beverages. That now the waiter gets to you. And when the waiter gets to you, the menu is one page. They give you your one-page menu. Now, you've just been sitting down for the past 5 minutes watching your friends with these deluxe menus and how excited they got at all the options they had. But when the waiter comes to you, your menu is one paper page. You look at this page, you looking at their menus, you say, what? There must be a mistake here. All that's listed on this page, waiter, is water and bread. Where's all the other stuff? They got those big menus, and then the waiter stops you and says, oh, I'm sorry. This is a special restaurant, sir, ma'am. In this restaurant, you get the menu you deserve. Wow, that would blow your mind, wouldn't it? Wouldn't you feel uncomfortable? Wouldn't you be upset that your friends have all those options to choose from and you just got bread and water on your menu? Or French fries? Sure you would be. And what I'm here to tell you is that when you invest in yourself, you're giving yourself a deluxe menu in life. Because investing in yourself means you're educating yourself, cultivating yourself. You're learning, not just in a formal classroom way. You can learn from elders, family members, watching documentaries, watching certain YouTube things. You can take go to the library, go to museums. There's a lot of ways to learn, but the point is, this means you're training yourself. You're getting the proper foundation to be your best self. And it means when you do that, when you invest in yourself, the more you invest in yourself, the greater your menu of opportunities in life will be. The less you invest in yourself, the smaller and more narrow your menu of opportunities will be. So as you looking over at your friends and they're doing A, B, and C, well, they're no better than you. They have those enhanced and increased opportunities relative to you because they may have been going to school, taking a workshop here, checking out a seminar there. They listened to the older people. When the older people were talking and trying to school them, they didn't say, oh, yeah, I know that, whatever. They listened. They took mental notes. When the old person said, listen, I see that you're working good, you got a lot of money. I'm glad for you. That's really good. But I also know you blow a lot of your money on frivolous things. If you keep up that habit, you'll never have wealth. You'll always be broke. You'll always be in a position where you have to beg, borrow, or steal. Right? Those type of kids listened to those adults. They didn't try to cut them off and act like they knew everything. That's part of your knowledge. That's part of investing in yourself. Getting proper rest is investing in yourself. Taking care of your body is investing in yourself. Getting spiritually grounded is investing in yourself. And when you do these things, you give yourself a greater menu of life opportunities. There's more you can do. There's more you can offer others. You're more useful to yourself. You're more useful to your family. You're more useful to your community. But to invest in yourself takes time. You can't rush that. If you think about when you were in grade school, what? Grade school to high school is what? 12 years. Right? And that's considered a very basic education these days. That takes 12 years. That's not a short amount of time. That's more than a decade of your life just to get a high school diploma. A bachelor's degree is 4 years, 4 more years. That's not a little bit of time. You're getting 120 credits, right, of education. It takes time. A master's degree might be 1 or 2 years. A doctorate degree might be 5 to 7 years. These things take time. Medical school takes time. Law school takes 3 years. That's time. There's no shortcuts. You got to go through the different levels. And this is why, by the way, they have a special name for second year students. And we're going to break that down. When you're in your first year in high school or college, you're a what? If you're here listening, give me a comment. Your first year of high school, your first year of college, you are considered a what? Your first year. I'm going to wait for a moment, see if anybody gets it. If not, I'm going to go on. All right. You're a freshman. Your first year of high school or college. Your third year of high school or college, you are a what? Junior. Your fourth year of high school or college, you are a senior. What are you called your second year of college? A sophomore. Why sophomore? Because in Greek, sophomore means wise fool. What? Agyei, that's a paradox. How can you be wise and be a fool? Well, you can't be one. You can't be both. You're one or the other. But the statement is meant to describe, and this is a metaphor. It doesn't mean that if you're in your second year in high school, college, you actually are a wise fool. It's a metaphor. It's to say, okay, you got 1 year of college or high school under your belt, and now you think you got it all figured out. That's what they mean by a wise fool. You think you're wise, but you're really a fool. A sophomore, and as a matter of fact, that's a word that you can use in conversation. This person is sophomoric. They think they know things they don't know. They're sophomoric, right? We don't want to be like that. You want to be people who understand that high school takes 4 years, that college takes 4 years. Things that are valuable and important take time. Some of you in relationships are millennials in particular, and they with somebody, been with them for 2 weeks, they in love. Everything's perfect. They no such thing exists. You gotta give it what? Time, so you can really see this person in various dimensions, in various situations, when they're happy, when they're sad, when they're frustrated, when they're upset, right? To be able to make an intelligent evaluation of them. You knowing them for a month or 3 months and saying they're this or that is just premature. You don't really have enough time to see the real person. It's only when you see them in various dimensions over time that you can say this person is this way or that. And you know what? Some people know people for years and don't really know them, right? But it's to say relationships take time. You got to know the person. You're learning the person, they're learning you. You know how to take care of you, but now you got to include another person in your life. It's just you is a lot easier, but now you got to listen to someone else. You have to entertain somebody else's ideas. You have to sometimes bite your tongue when you want to say you're mad and want to say something mean, because you want to respect the person's feelings. You don't want to be demeaning. These things, relationships, in other words, take time. To grow, to develop, you got to work on yourself. You got to be a better person. That person has to do the same. Savings and investments take time. They tell people all the time, investment is a long game. But now we're talking investment, we're talking now financially. When you get in stocks and all this stuff, financial instruments, mutual funds, they say that it's a long game, meaning that it takes time. That something may start out average, may teeter a little bit, may fall off, but over 5 or 10 years, what you put in, you may double or triple. Over 15 to 20 years, that little bit of money you put in invested may make you $1 million over time because of the compound interest. So if you're in it, if you're the type of person that treats your life like a ignorant or impulsive investor, your life is going to be in shambles, meaning that you get in, you get out, you never stay long enough in anything, a job, a relationship, a business, a sport, to really learn about it and grow and learn more about yourself. You can't You can't get too far with that. Now, yes, you're gonna learn a little bit about a lot of things, but the old folks are right. The jack of all trades is the master of none. And the people who are gonna be sought after, respected, can always get work if that's what they choose to do, or they can have their own business or whatever. What are people who have mastered? These are people who have developed a craft. They've mastered something over time. You don't master something in 2 weeks. People talk about people like Prince and Stevie Wonder and and even Tupac and how prolific they were. Yeah, they were prolific because they put in a lot of work, man. They said Tupac seemed like he would sleep in the studio. They said, some people said they never saw Prince go to sleep. It seemed like he was always awake. And I heard recently the same thing of Michael Jordan. These are people who put in countless hours to perfect, or at least to improve their skill. They may have been born with a gift, but they didn't rest on the gift and take it for granted. They developed it. Kobe Bryant comes to mind with his Mamba mentality, talking about how he would be the first to be in the gym, the last one to leave, the first one up, the last one to go to sleep, constantly watching film of himself, constantly critiquing himself, constantly saying, how could I have done better? How could I have gotten less fouls? How could I have perfected my game? How can I get stronger so that I can last longer? He comes into NBA straight from high school. He's a phenom. He was definitely a prodigy, Kobe Bryant. He gets in his first game and he shoots 3 or 4 straight air balls, right? And over the course of his first year, when he does get in the game, because he's fresh out of high school, they got to groom him first. He says he's shooting the air balls, and finally, over years, he realized the air balls he shot, the ball he said would always be on course to go in the hoop, but he realized his legs was weak. He had no legs. He had no stamina. So when he's taking these far away jump shots, he doesn't have the strength. So what did he do? He's in the gym now. So now he's developing his strength and stamina. So some people say when they played against Kobe Bryant, it seemed like he got stronger as the game went on. And the same with Michael Jordan. But these are people who take what they're doing seriously. They commit to something for the long haul, and they put in that work. And so when we see, wow, Prince is a genius, and he's a master with this guitar, yeah, because you didn't see all the hours that man spent playing the guitar and all the other 15 or so instruments that Prince played, right? Or Chris Brown, he's such a great dancer. Yeah, of course. But you don't see all the hours Chris Brown puts in trying new dances, studying other people's dances, trying to make himself stronger, trying to improve his wind, his cardiovascular. All that stuff takes. Simone Biles in the Olympics, she won all these medals, the most decorated Olympian ever. Yeah, but do you know all the hours she spends in the gym, or all the time, the years she spent? She was a little girl doing gymnastics. So all I'm trying to say, family, and I hope I'm reaching somebody 20-something. I hope that you will share this with somebody that's younger than you to help them understand. As the Bible says, the race goes not to the swift nor the strong, but to he who persevereth until the end. That means sometimes we put too much merit into who's the strongest and the fastest, and we don't look at who can last the longest, because life is not a sprint, it's a marathon. So yeah, a lot of people start off real good in their 20s, 30s, they look good, they feel good, they having fun, but when they get to them 40s, 50s, 60s, they're not doing too good. Right? Because they weren't investing in themselves. Now they have limited options. Now they're older, they're bitter, they feel like I haven't done certain things, I haven't gone certain places. And we don't have to be like that. Invest in yourself. If you're 40, 50, 60 watching this, and this is resonating with you, you say, man, I hear what he's saying, I kind of feel that way. You don't have to be part of the coulda, woulda, shoulda club. Those are people who, they say, oh, I could have done this, and I would have done that, and I should have done. No, you don't have to. We don't have to do that. You could be the person that you want to be. You don't have to be jealous of nobody else. You can be the person in your mind that you want to be, but you got to do the work. Or as James Brown said, you got to pay the cost to be the boss. You got to pay your dues. How do you pay your dues? You invest in yourself, and investing in yourself takes what? Time. That's all I really want to say, family. Thank you so much for listening. Hope you got something out of it. Thank you. Please subscribe to Harlem Liberation School. We come from different angles. It's always coming from a Black nationalist, Pan-African point of view, but we welcome other people to come check us out. Truth is truth, right? So truth is going to hit you. If you seeking truth, you can get truth from just about anywhere if you're truly seeking truth. So we thank you all for coming out. We invite you to come back, check us out. We're definitely going to have something up for the great Marcus Mosiah Garvey, because today was his birthday. And just want to thank you. And just as a one last reminder, cop my latest book, Wukusu, a self-empowerment handbook, for $13.99 on Amazon. Peace and Black Power, family. Thank you for watching.